ॐ नमः शिवाय।
In this final part of my travel trilogy, I tell you about the most difficult part of the trip, the 45-kilometer long parikrama of Mount Kailash. But before that, some quick facts about Kailash. Mount Kailash is in Tibet and stands at around 22,000 feet, much lower than the big brother Mount Everest, which is 29,000 plus feet tall. But strangely, whereas more than 5,000 people have climbed Mount Everest, Kailash is still unconquered. In fact, many people have succumbed in their attempt to do so. And those who survived have very strange tales to tell, right from sudden change in the weather to losing their trails. So much so that now the Chinese authorities have stopped giving permissions for any expedition to Kailash. Is there something to it? I don't know. In this part, I also tell you about my experience of seeing some strange lights at Lake Mansarovar in the middle of the night. Very hard to believe, but then I saw them with my own eyes. Hard not to believe. So let's begin our journey on day 9 with the parikrama, of course in a clockwise direction, unlike the born religion people who do it in anti-clockwise direction. Is there something to it? Again, I don't know. It was a big day for us on day 9, but the weather was playing truant with the sky heavily overcast and there was some occasional drizzle. Today we were supposed to carry only one backpack for the 3 days and leave our duffel bags behind. We left around 10 after breakfast and it took us just about 10 minutes to cover the 5-kilometer distance up to Tarboche. Here we were in front of Yam Dwar, the starting point of the parikrama. It's a small chortin-like structure with prayer flags all around. The breakup of the total parikrama is 14 kilometers on day 1, 22 kilometers on day 2, and 9 kilometers on the final day, making a total of 45 kilometers. From Yamdwar, we could just see the Nandibul mountain as Kailash was behind the clouds. We were told by our Chinese guide to go through the Dwar and then go round it 3 times and then proceed for the yatra without looking back. It is said that you leave your fear behind once you pass through the Dwar. The yaks and ponies were also there getting ready for the trip. Yaks are the virtual lifelines there as they carry all the load. Many people read out prayers before starting the yatra. We started off with a majestic side view of the south face of Kailash. This is the full south face as seen from Mansarovar. Kailash is a pyramid-type mountain with 4 distinct faces which we will see during the parikrama. The brief was to walk alongside a stream for about 8 kilometers till we reach a tea stall tent. It was fairly level ground and a very enjoyable trek. I came across this old lady from the Bon community doing the complete yatra by prostrating herself at every step. What a faith! It was here that we were the closest to the Kailash mountain, and this is the west face. We reached the tea stall and had our packed lunch, which included samosa, very unhealthy, so I gave it to my porter, and had the sandwich, juice, apple, and Kit Kat, which, by the way, gives you instant energy. After walking for 4 kilometers, we came across a bridge over Lachu River. Another 2 kilometers and we were there at the Shishupangama Hotel at Derapuk. The total distance of 14 kilometers we covered in about 4 hours at leisurely pace with lot of photo breaks. During the trip, everywhere we went, there was always a scramble for getting the best available rooms, which was on first come first basis. My porter had reached early and reserved the best room for us. The best was a small damp room with 10 cots in it. The toilet was outside, marked men and women, but without any doors. Inside was the same, with just a rectangular hole with a deep drop below in a pit. Didn't matter, as by that time we got used to doing it in the open. After the light showers came the spectacle of primary rainbow, which appears at a much lower height at around 40 degrees. It felt almost within touching distance, and what a perfect arc it was, with all the 7 colors distinctly clear. It is said that if you see a rainbow, it augurs well for the yatra, something which I also conveniently believed. Everything was powered by solar energy there. Since the number of charging points are limited, multiple point plugs are very useful. The batteries also run out of power very quickly at those temperatures, so you must keep them warm and covered up. Day 10 was the most difficult day of the trip, as we woke up early in the morning and 7 of us who were doing the parikrama on foot started walking with torchlight on our heads in total darkness. Even the moon was behind the clouds most of the time. This is the north face clicked by my brother Jayanta, who started much later after day broke as he was on a pony. It was an acid test of my physical ability after months of brisk walking and running up and down the stairs in my apartment. Also, it was a test of the grit and determination of the mind. Due to the overnight rains, the tracks had become slushy and very slippery. We got a last darshan of Mount Kailash with its northeastern face, the only small window to see the very small eastern face during the entire yatra. A rare sight indeed. That's my brother on a pony. And this is how he felt.
Dolmala Pass. (5,800 meters). Gasping for a bit of breath. Plenty of Tibetan prayer flags. High, frozen, desolate mountains. Frozen landscape. My brother's up there somewhere. I used the pony. He decided to walk all the way up.
अभी हम जा रहे हैं.
हम लोग का टीम थोड़ा पीछे है, बहुत आगे चल रहा है.
टीम पीछे है.
हाँ
हाँ.
हम लोग 2 शेरपा आप लोग के पास में हूँ.
हाँ. और तुम्हारा नाम क्या है?
तक नहीं. गाँव शेरपा.
जोन जीना 3 बार माउंट एवरेस्ट चढ़ चुका है.
वो.
हाँ. और यहाँ पे बिल्कुल कूद के जा रहा है.
हाँ.
We are at 17,457 now, midway through Dolmala Pass. Beautiful glacier-like mountain there, There is Mount Kailash still visible.
Churu loptang ja mer na to loptang ja.
Okay, okay.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. आई
ओम नमः शिवाय।
ओम नमः शिवाय। ये घोड़ा मार मार के निकलता है हमें। ओम नमः शिवाय। Okay, see you at Dolmala Pass. Finally, we are at the Dolmala Pass. It shows 17916 or but it is showing little less, 200 meter less. Huh? Hello? Huh?
18,000.
It is showing bit less, yeah, 17916.
Oh.
But there is little difference between the official and mine, this thing. So pretty good. No panting and fuming. We were warned not to linger or stay here for too long, as the air was very thin and you can fall sick very easily. Still, I spent some time taking some pictures and told my porter to click one of mine too for the records. A snippet about Tibetan prayer flags. They are always in the sequence of yellow, green, red, white and blue, signifying earth, fire, water, air and sky. Just notice it the next time you come across one. That's my brother on top, but at a different time. From Dolmala, one gets a clear view of Gaurikund with its emerald green water in a bowl-like valley. As per Hindu mythology, it has been described in the Shiva Purana as the place where Parvati used to take her bath and had acquired her son Ganesha. So it is also called Parvati Sarovar. The 400 meters descent was a quite treacherous one through rocks and boulders. Here people have to get off the ponies because ponies can't take them down, and once they're down, they get onto the ponies again. We then crossed the end of a small glacier where we could hear the water flowing underneath. We finally reached a tea stall tent where we had our lunch and some rest. From there it was 11 kilometers more over the valley of river Lamchu, but the terrain was rather flat up to Zutulpuk. Since we were walking, obviously we reached late at around 4 and we had to stay put in a tent which had a gaping hole on top and had the worst bed in the entire trip when we needed it the most. It was just a thin mattress over boulders. I slept alongside my brother. But so tired was everyone that they just collapsed. Day 11 was the last day of the parikrama with only 9 kilometers to be covered on foot and then the balance 3 kilometers by jeep up to Darchen. For some reason, a feeling of sadness descended upon me. So many months of preparation, and here I was standing on the threshold of what could be termed as beginning of the end of my trip. A mixed feeling of happiness for having completed the yatra and the sadness of leaving the heavenly abode. The nostalgia was overbearing. We started after having an early breakfast and we surely were not in a hurry, as most of us walked leisurely in the sun-drenched morning. All in all, a rather nondescript walk with the mind roving more than the eyes. We reached Zongthong around 10:30. It was time to bid goodbye to the porters and the ponywalas. My brother's ponyman was a young boy of 14 years. Back to hotel at Darchen, we were famished and without waiting for the tour lunch, we feasted on Harshad Bhai's khakra and thepla, which seemed nothing less than Karim's barra kebab. We then drove back to Mansarovar, where we camped on the other side of the lake at Horchu campsite in nicely insulated tents with 8 beds, a welcome change from Zutulpuk. It was sunny, and with the yatra over, how can we not take a dip in the lake? We walked about a kilometer, found a cleaner bank, and mustered all the courage and walked into the freezing water of the lake. Om Namah Shivaya. It was the full moon night, and I can never forget this sight of the moon rising from behind the clouds and the crimson rays of the setting sun falling on those clouds. When the sun was setting, the changing light played havoc with the clouds, and every moment was a photo opportunity. Since the starting of the tour, there was a discussion among the yatris about some divine lights seen over the lake on full moon nights. Many of us decided to go out at around 2:30 a.m. on the shores of the lake. I also did, but primarily to capture the Kailash on a full moon night. What I saw that night will be etched in my memory forever. The moon was shining bright 90 degrees over our head, and I saw what I had imagined 1,000 times before in my mind. A sheet of white robe seemed to have been draped around Kailash. We just stood there quite oblivious of the chilly biting wind lapping our face. But then what we saw that night can give goosebumps to me anytime I think about it. On the west bank of the lake, there were a range of hillocks separating it from Rakshastal. Suddenly, flashes of light lasting about 1 second burst out from behind the hillocks, reaching up to the clouds. The light was a mixture of white, yellow and blue with some orangish tinge. There was no sound, but these flashes came out not only once, twice, but 10 to 12 times from different places behind these hillocks. And that place is totally uninhabited. After the first few flashes, I quickly set up my camera on a tripod and tried to capture it with a long open shutter. And the flash happened, and this is what I got. Technically, with the open shutter, the flash should have been captured, but it did not. I still don't know why. And also I do not want to know why. Maybe such divine miracles are not meant to be captured by mortals in their machines. I just stood there, dazed, awed, but feeling blessed. Day 12 was the start of the return journey. Kailash was totally behind the clouds when we started. So with eyes closed, I thanked the Lord for everything, from the journey to the good weather we had, to the good health that we kept. Actually, the uncertainties of the trip are so many that without some blessings, it is not possible to successfully do the yatra. This one is for the records, the 7 of us who did the parikrama on foot. 5 of us stopped for the night at Saga. Though all others stayed at Paryang, we didn't want to stay at the dock capital. I told you the story in part 2. We didn't want to take any chances. Oh, it seems some film shooting is going on in the dunes. It took us around 6 hours to reach Saga, and we checked into the same hotel. On day 13, we traveled to Neyalam. The route was the same, but the landscape very different, and there was no snow in the La Lungla. Look at the same road, looks so different. As we reached much ahead of the other groups, we had a good, fulfilling lunch at a restaurant on our own. We stayed at the same hotel in Neelam, and it was time to say goodbye to our porters. We started early on day 14 for Kathmandu from Neelam, and the moon was still shining brightly. That's the Chinese side of the border. Even this man seems very happy. Back to Kathmandu to our hotel. That's the end of the trip of my lifetime. In retrospect, I still remember what the lady tour operator told me before the trip. She said that you need the right mix of faith, spirituality and adventure within you if you want to enjoy and do the yatra. How true she was. The trip came to an end, but strangely I had this feeling that a journey on a different spiritual plane had just begun.